5, 4, 3, 2.
Well, I was going to bring in another commercial, but it didn't go to commercial. That's how things are already starting out here on the Competition Plus Power Hour, brought to you by Weldon High Performance. That's the commercial I was going to play. Matter of fact, let's say thank you to Weldon High Performance. Play that really quick. You hit the like button, you hit the share button, and jump in a discussion right here on the CompetitionPlus.com Power Hour. And welcome back. I am Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. Over there, Darren Williams Jr., a.k.a. American Hot Rod Entertainment, the assistant editor for CompetitionPlus.com, the place where you can believe what you read on the internet. Darren, drag racing mayhem already starting stuff. One of the biggest announcements in Comp Plus history. I wonder what he might be alluding to.
What is he alluding to? One of the biggest announcements in NHRA history. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Competition Plus Power Hour, streaming live here Tuesday night on Competition Plus YouTube and Facebook. And like Drag Racing Mayhem says, me and you witnessed in person one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history at PRI this past week. And that announcement was that Tony Stewart will be racing Top Fuel Eliminator in 2024. But with NHRA saying it's one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history, they got eviscerated online.
They did. Now, let's be clear what they did say. There are many people they put out there that they stated the biggest. No, they never stated.
They said one of the biggest.
They said one of the biggest. Now, as I said, even after the announcement, I would have preferred a little bit different wording, maybe one of the biggest announcements for Top Fuel. I think that would be more accurate because you have Leah Pruett deciding to step aside for a bit, and she just finished the best she's ever finished in a championship chase right down to the final round with an opportunity to win it. And you've got Tony Stewart, this great motorsport, honestly, legend in everything he's ever been in, coming into the class to compete after a runner-up season in his own championship chase in Top Alcohol Dragster. So I think, yes, it is certainly a major announcement. I think it's a bit more major to Top Fuel in and of itself. Granted, I will admit that this announcement garnered more attention than maybe any announcement ever in drag racing.
No, you're exactly correct. I mean, New York Times, New York Post, whichever one picked it up, Sports Illustrated picked it up, ESPN picked it up. I mean, all these major outlets picked up this story. And although, us hardcore drag racing fans say it's not one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history, it's a pretty big announcement. It is huge. That is major. Like you mentioned, Tony Stewart is an icon of our generation, one of the greatest motorsports, icons of all time. And for him to be racing in our top division, Top Fuel Eliminator, from here going forward, I think that's huge. It's only going to bring more eyes to the NHRA. It's going to be helpful to all the racers. It's going to grow our sport. So in and itself, agree to disagree with how NHRA put it out. It's still a huge announcement. It's big and pretty exciting also.
It is exciting for sure. Again, I would have just liked some rewording of the initial announcement. And it's not NHRA's fault that people got it wrong and then ran with it. The classic, tell one person, and then by the time it gets through 20 people, it's a completely different story. Well, this was only the changing of one word, but a very critical word, and that is the absence of one of people making the statement that they said the biggest. No, they never said the biggest. They said one of the biggest.
I mean, Billy, you got to play it up, though, right? You have to.
You do.
I mean, it's Tony Stewart, 3-time Cup champion, IndyCar champion, has done so much, like you said, done so much in motorsports. You got to, I mean, what is NHRA supposed to do? I mean, you got to play this up at least, right? You got to.
I think you do, and they did, and it worked. And I will say this, from a PR standpoint, from a social media activity standpoint, NHRA won, because so what if you're being eviscerated and
Mhm.
people got it wrong? That's still a bump in your social media. It's still a
Exactly.
spike in people accessing your website. That's still people talking about NHRA. And what's the old saying? There's no such thing as bad publicity. They certainly got the publicity. And where it was needed to be legitimate publicity, it was there in the New York Times and the Washington Post and Sports Illustrated and such things. So it carried the NHRA. That's it.
And NHRA, had to know they were going to get some pushback for that. They knew what was coming. I think they were
Well,
fully aware of how people were going to respond. I
well,
think so.
and I think maybe from here's the critical difference. I was having dinner with a group of hardcore drag racers. Matter of fact, two of them drive funny cars, and a couple of these people work on. Actually, everybody works on the crews of these cars, and I kind of had to remind them all at that table. Wait, we are people that know drag racing in and out, and we love drag racing, and we're critical of this announcement because we understand drag racing very well.
Mhm.
But to someone outside of drag racing, this
Yes.
is a major announcement. And it's a major announcement to them because they might not have heard of drag racing up to this point in a serious nature, but by Tony Stewart.
And that's exactly what I was saying. It was, the hardcore drag racing fans that really had the problem with it. Because, like I said, when we've seen guys like Dan Pastorini in the sport, former NFL quarterback, when we've seen Joe Gibbs in the sport, fielding a top field dragsters and funny cars, when we've seen Tom Hammonds and Larry Nance, two NBA players, in the sport, like we've seen, people outside of drag racing, icons in their own sport come over and play in NHRA. So we've seen this before. So to us, it's like, well, I mean, is it really that big a deal? Like, really?
Right.
But like you said, to the casual fan, it's huge. So, yeah, man, that was it's gonna be cool to see Tony. I thought he would do one more year in Top Alcohol, and like Doug Core mentioned in the comments, Tony wasn't really like just the obvious choice. Like Lyle Barnett's name was thrown in the hat and everything like that. So, but obviously Tony came out on top. He has top field experience, like we talked about. When they test after races, Tony Stewart's in the car, so he has a lot of experience behind the wheel of 11,000 horsepower top field dragster. So I think there will be some struggle, but I think it'll be a seamless transition, and Tony Stewart can come off and have some success right off the bat. I think.
I think it's going to be seamless. I think Tony. I got a clip of like Tony's response of like, "Don't suck and don't kill myself in this thing," and I certainly don't think he's going to suck. I certainly don't think he's going to have any major incidents. And I know from those in Top Alcohol, legends in the sport, far as driving and owning a team, that they have remarked, many of them, that he's the best natural driver that they've seen in a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I've seen it myself from the stands filming and seen Tony race many times now in covering Top Alcohol, where many of you just go back in the pits. I'm still watching and what's happening. He is one of the quickest pedalers I have ever seen. And I've been going to drag races my whole life, and he is quick. Get off that throttle and back on it and get that car hooked up. So Tony's not going to have any issues. He's also a very consistent lever and a quick lever as well at the tree. And if I may say, I am a fan of the people who are able to go and in motorsports drive many different things. I'm a fan of the John Andretti's. I'm a fan of the AJ Foyts. I'm a fan of the Danny Ungaises. I'm a fan of the Dan Gurneys. I'm a Tony Stewart fan because he has just done so much and done so much at a high level and been successful
Mhm.
at it. And he is a driver. He is what I
Mhm.
like to call a motorsportist. I
Mhm.
mean, he just can get in anything and will it. If there was
Mhm.
tractor racing around in laps, he'd probably be winning at that too. I don't care. Just he can do it.
And here's the thing. So, obviously Tony never won a Daytona 500. Well, I know, Daytona, U.S. Nationals, two different sports and everything like that. But if he can win the U.S.
Man,
Nationals,
just
that'll
bringing up sore moments already.
I mean,
Wow.
he's never won a Daytona 500. It's fact, I mean, just saying, he never won one. But if he wins the U.S. Nationals, kind of makes up for it, right?
Arguably, sure, because you're winning, the biggest drag race in the world and the most prestigious drag race in the world, and you're doing it at the highest level of the sport, which it would be is considered top fuel.
Dave W says Stewart hasn't, but will. So he thinks he will win a Daytona 500 sometime in his career. I mean, I don't know how that'll happen because he's retired, but I mean,
Well,
one off. I mean, David
could
Reagan's
be a,
back, so I mean, it could happen. So,
it could be a one-off situation. This is obviously a drag racing show, but I think the charter system in NASCAR makes it more challenging
Mhm.
to go compete for a Daytona 500. It used to be that you'd have many people attempting a Daytona 500 for that one-off type of event. Andretti, Foyt, I think of Tim Richmond. Tim Richmond was attempting to qualify one of his last years in a stock car before his death. You'd have that happen routinely. People attempting just a Daytona 500, just like they might attempt just a U.S. Nationals or just a Indy 500 to compete in it. So it uh, it's not the norm. It's not a reality quite as it used to be because of the charter system.
And Dave actually wasn't talking about. So he says, no, I was talking about Drag Racing Mayhem's comment. So he wasn't talking about,
Oh,
winning Daytona. So my bad, Dave. But
well,
I
that
mean,
was an
just
interesting point.
no, I love what you just said though. But with Tony coming in, like I said, more eyes on the sport. This is going to put not only top field, but the whole sport of drag racing in the limelight, in the mainstream media now. And so, with more eyes on it, that could open up to more sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, people from NASCAR now are going to be looking over and like, hey, look at what Tony's doing. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
do we want to go out and try that? That might open doors for people in IndyCar, for NASCAR, and everything like that. So, the possibilities are endless, and you got to respect Tony for putting himself out there and jumping right in the seat of 11,000 horsepower top fuel dragster, and we'll see how he does.
It could do so much. It could do so much for credibility of the sport overall. And I hate to say that because we are drag racing fans and we're in drag racing media, and it's frustrating to say that it needs credibility. But
Mm,
you look at, for example, the FIA. The drag racers aren't quite looked at the same as those who win the F1 championship, for
mhm.
example.
Yeah,
But Tony is someone that's in and out of those type of circles, and here he is now competing in drag racing. So maybe that even turns. Oh, if Tony's in it, maybe that's cool. Maybe there is
yeah,
credibility to this thing. I
exactly.
think it does give some clout that way, and I also just want to say too, uh, cool of them and Leah as well to say in this day and time that hey, starting a family, attempting to start a family, that's something that's still valuable and important, and we want to
Yeah,
do that. I
yeah.
appreciate that and stepping aside, and she's got a great atmosphere to do it in, and it's cool that she does. And it's creating a neat opportunity, but all success to them in that endeavor as well.
Mm. Yeah, and just to go back just a little bit, you mentioned, what people saying, oh, with Tony in here, oh, that's cool, right? I watch YouTube channels, other motorsport YouTube channels, IndyCar, NASCAR, and one thing they always say when they cover drag racing, they always say, hey, I'm not the biggest drag racing fan. I don't really, follow drag racing, but they might have to now with Tony Stewart in drag racing.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Estep covered, the top Tony Stewart's move that same day in a video. And so that's just putting more eyeballs, all these NASCAR fans looking at drag racing, and they're going to start thinking it's
Steve,
cool. And huh?
nothing.
I know you're an Eric Estep hater, but I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. But here's a question. So 2011, we saw Ashley step away from the seat to start a family. And she said she would return. Not indictment on action or anything like that, but she decided not to return. It's been 12 years now. Does Leah Pruett?
Has it been that long?
I know, really.
Wow.
Really. I know, it's crazy. Time flies, doesn't it?
Does
Leah Pruett return to the driver's seat someday? I read an article where she said, it's not all certain that I may will, It's not a for certain that she will return to the driver's seat. Do we see Leah Pruett back behind the wheel of some type of vehicle, at least in the near future? Not just Top Fuel, maybe Factory Stock Showdown or Pro Mod or whatever.
And look, you made a great point. Like, what vehicle? Because her driving resume is rather lengthy, from Pro Mod to Factory Stock Showdown to Top Fuel, Nostalgia Funny Car, as well. So she has been behind the wheel of many different vehicles. She could stop racing today and just focus on a family, and she would have had a successful career.
27 years, right? It's been that long.
I mean, been junior dragsters, worked her way up, Nostalgia Funny Car, Pro Mod, Factory Stock Showdown. She has a world championship in Factory Stock Showdown. Don't forget, Leah Pruett is a world champion.
Yes.
All right. Yes. And finished runner-up in Top Fuel and has won big races. And so it's like she could stop it and it'd be a great career. It really would be. I do think, though, we're talking about a woman that has been rather tenacious in keeping her career alive. And I don't see her staying completely away.
Like Leah she exudes race car driver. Not saying Ashley didn't or anything like that, but Leah just exudes, like, starting from junior drag, like you said, and like you mentioned, she's every step along the way, she's done whatever she can to stay behind the wheel of a car. Mentioned with Dope Family Racing. She started off with Dope Family Racing back in the day, and obviously that fell through. And what happened? She goes to Bob Vandergriff. Well, when Bob Vandergriff falls through, she goes to Schumacher and everything like that. Has the sponsorship and everything like that. So Leah Pruett just exudes race car driver, and like you said, I don't think she'll stay out for too long. Maybe a few years, but hey, we can see a 2-car team with Leah and Tony in the near future. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you could, or maybe she goes and does, something else. Maybe she steps into Nitro Funny Car. She's done Nostalgia Funny Car. Why not? Yeah. Why not Nitro Funny Car? Maybe it is a 2-car operation in the future. Maybe one car is an open cockpit car, the other one's a canopy car. Who knows? The possibilities are certainly out there for more, and it would be interesting to see. I think she would make a return in time. Hey, maybe Factory X.
Hey, that'd be cool.
I mean, maybe. So I think there's so much that there's a lot still out there for her, and she's such a marketable individual, and this is something that I think would be an interesting, if I may put it this way, her as a marketing platform.
Yes. You
have an individual that is a talented, attractive individual. Well, that may very well play into marketing as a talented, attractive mother in the drag racing world. And that may bring different brands into the world of motorsports than we've seen. There's plenty of mothers in the stands. I can go to races and you got moms and dads bringing their kids. I was one of those kids. You were one of those kids. So it works. It's there.
Lee, you looking at moms at the drag races, man?
That was good. That was good.
Just saying. I mean, you just outed yourself live on air.
Dang.
I'm kidding. But here's the thing, though. You know why I think she will be back? Along with everything we just said, let's not forget, and you mentioned it at the beginning of the show, she came within one round of winning the Top Fuel World Championship.
One
round.
And
one car length away.
One car length, one round, and you couple that with just a couple years before that, before the huge transition. she was in a championship hunt and had that incident in St. Louis where the car broke in half,
Yeah.
and she was right in the mix. So I'm sure for her, there's going to be a fire to go get the job done and complete it
Yeah.
and get her top fuel eliminator world championship. I'm sure that's on the list somewhere for her to mark off. But I mean, we're talking about a girl that one of her first sponsorships, if I remember correctly, was a strip club, and she walked in and got it on her own to go run that nostalgia funny car. I mean, I don't see too many ladies doing that, and she did it. She got it. So
the resume is impressive, right? Not
Yeah.
so junior dragster, nostalgia funny car, pro mod, factory stock showdown, top fuel. Like, man, that's a pretty good resume.
Yes,
That's a really good resume.
it is.
And you know, just final thought on this whole Tony Stewart thing. And I know this is a drag racing show, but from what I've seen from, you know, the NASCAR YouTubers, like people are saying in the comments, they're wondering like, hey, is this the final straw of Tony Stewart saying, hey, I'm almost done with this Stewart Haas deal? Like, is this kind of like an out? That's kind of like the theory. I'm not saying it's true or anything like that. It's what they're you know, pretty much saying like in these YouTube videos, like, you know, guys, Tony's kind of like separating himself from Stewart Haas and everything like that. Because I mean, they have had some down years the past couple of years. Not saying it's true or anything like that, but that's just the talk around NASCAR town right now. They're freaking out. They're freaking out.
I personally am one that, though it says Stewart Haas, I've kind of felt for a long time there's more Haas to that than Stewart, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know all the paperwork and I don't know all the ins and out of that partnership, but nonetheless, I mean, look, Tony has positioned really good people over there where he can go do what he wants to do in the drag racing world, just like he's positioned really good people with both of those teams. It would be like saying, you know, the performance of Stewart Haas is directly impacted by Tony's presence because like he's tuning on the car or something. But we would never say that for drag racing because he's not a drag racer. You know, I don't know. That's kind of some weird thinking in my opinion.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Like I said, I'm not saying it's true or anything like that, but you know, when you watch these YouTube videos and all the theories that come out with, you know, like I said, the NASCAR YouTubers and everything, that's kind of like, you know, the talk around the town is, you know, Tony's, you know, exit strategy of, you know, trying to separate himself from Stewart Haas. So
I'm not sure about that. I think he's a smart businessman, and it's good business right now. Whether you're racing in Top Fuel or you've got cars in Cup, I mean, you know, possibly selling off a charter. I mean, charters are worth a lot of money. You know, it might be something like that, and get an influx of cash, and maybe hire some better people in certain spots or some new equipment. I mean, you never know, but I don't think it's an out.
And like Drag Racing Mayhem says, Haas was on Hagen's car in Pomona. So, that was a pretty cool deal.
Yeah. Next topic.
I think next topic we should go into Ida Zetterstrom. We ain't got to spend too much time on it, but I think it's really cool that we're getting another fresh face in Top Fuel, another young face. And I tell you what, this just, you know, further adds to, you know, how just stacked Top Fuel is going to be in 2024. I know we talked about this a lot at PRI, but you mentioned the newcomers. You know, we're talking about Sean Reed, who's going to go full time next year. Obviously, Rob Winland, you know, the crew chief. And we also got to talk about, you know, with Sean Reed, a technical alliance with Antron Brown, 2024 and moving forward. So I think that's really cool. Ida Zetterstrom driving for Manor Family Racing next year, part-time basis next year, but the plan is to go full-time. And you throw in, you know, Travis Shoemake, who's supposed to be making his Top Fuel debut next year, Jasmine Salinas. So a crop of fresh young faces, and it just goes to show that Top Fuel's in good hands for years to come.
Why do you want to race Top Fuel right now? Go to another class. You know, Look, I know this. I know that we're gonna have races where you have cars that we're still going to probably have some races that don't have full fields. Let me just go ahead and say that. I wouldn't be shocked. For example, Epping is one of those races because it's so far. People don't realize how far Epping is from like everything, but it certainly has its best chance of having a full field in nitro, especially top fuel. But it is good to hear all these cars coming in, and for the crowd that's out there that routinely makes statements, and I know it's not this crowd watching, it's preaching to the choir in essence, that drag racing is dead. Well, if it was dead, we wouldn't even be talking about it. We wouldn't even be having races. So it's more accurate to say drag racing is dying. That is an erroneous statement.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to have some of the biggest fields this year outside of the U.S. Nationals in top fuel that we have seen in a very, very long time. And I dare say you're going to see fields that are the largest that they have ever been with the competitive ability of such fields.
No, I totally agree. But here's the thing. Yes, we're going to have big fields. And yes, we're going to have maybe some big time names not qualify at a few races.
We can only hope.
But with how many full-time cars we're expected for next year, we got to get rid of that countdown participation.
Oh yeah, that's got to go.
It has. The reason why is because not everybody can make the playoffs, and it's just going to make it that much more exciting to see those big names that are going to try to fight their way in.
Yeah.
And if we have this rule and not able to see that, I think that it just takes away all that excitement away. So I think we need to cut that rule. It has to happen. It has
take
to.
Take it away. And you're right. You cannot have everybody make the playoffs. That is not a playoff.
No.
Because
I guarantee you, there will be some big time names that are going to be outside looking in going into Indy. If the rule wasn't there, excuse me, sorry.
And it should be that way.
Yes. So that's my only deal with how many full-time cars we have planned for next year. You got to get rid of that rule.
I agree. It needs to be gone. I
know we can't beat a dead horse because we've been saying this for the past couple of years now, but it really, it's really highlighted now. Like I said, with how many full-time cars we are expected for 2024.
So Andrew Osterhaus brings up a good point. Does so many full-time cars scare off some of the part-timers that are just trying to qualify? Well, you look at a TJ Zizzo, you look at a Doug Foley. No.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
No.
They think they fully aware that they can go up there and fight with the big dogs.
Yeah. And you've got like TJ Zizzo and Doug Foley. Doug Foley he's out there aiming to be full-time sometime. That's been the aim since he has come back, in 2019, if I remember correctly, is the year in which he came back. So, or 2020, excuse me. Well, you have those people out there with that aim to get to that point, and they're not going to be able to get to that point unless they show up for races. And they intend on having cars, again, to upset those that are full-time or those that are, doing likewise, attempting to show up. Now, I will say, I do think it certainly hurts programs like a leverage racing, where if they don't make the field, they're certainly trying to stay in the highest two unqualified spots, because there's a different amount of money for those two spots compared to other spots after that. It can hurt them. I'm sure they're seriously going to look at operational costs and who's going there and who's going to be there before showing up at those type of events. It could definitely be very challenging for someone like a Rob Passy out there, those type of programs. So will that stop them? I don't think so, because in the case of someone like Rob Passy, he runs his car so little that you are running your car, I would think, for different reasons than even just qualifying, if that makes sense. And if you get a round win, great, but it's different. It's not just the round wins. Somewhat, I'm interested in knowing how many races this year is Greg Carrillo. That is a car traditionally runs. He has run Vegas and he has run some other races out west, but in particular, it's Denver. Well, we don't have Denver anymore. He only ran Denver this year, if I remember correctly, or either not at all and just a year before. But when that car shows up, he performs very well. Does these fields being stacked deter someone like him? So again, it's going to be interesting to see who does show up to play in the NHRA. And again, the people that are making these announcements that they're coming into the sport to get into Top Fuel in particular, so many of them are going to be heavy hitters.
And just for Greg Carrillo, like you mentioned, he did go to Denver this year, and how cool was it? He was actually number 1 qualifier after Q1 on Friday. That was a really, really good pass right out of the box. And just to kind of add on to the conversation, DRM, excuse me, it's not Drag Racing Central no more. It's Drag Racing Mayhem. He says, what do you think is the reason why everyone is going to Top Fuel instead of Funny Car? Funny Car is kind of the old man's club right now. And Dave W was like, it yo-yos back and forth, which it does. He says, Funny Car was stacked in the 2000s, 2010s, and Top Fuel was man. And so that's really one of the main reasons. And also, you think about it, in the case of a Jasmine Salinas, well, her dad drives Top Fuel, so it just obvious choice. You kind of just run Top Fuel. You have what you have. Travis Shoemake, licensed in the Top Fuel dragster, and I know his dad drove funny cars, and he attempted to license in a funny car at one point. Did he license in the funny car? Did he get his license, or did that not happen?
He did license.
Yeah, he licensed in a funny car, but actually ran Top Alcohol dragster, so going in the dragster route. So Sean Reed drove Top Fuel dragster when he was out here back in the day. So just they were these guys were already in Top Fuel. And then,
hey, is there a relation with Sean to a Don Reed?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't know?
No.
I just thought about it today. There's at McKenney Corp, there's a Don Reed Top Fueler sitting up on top of the rack. And
oh, really?
Yeah, you can tell it's been there for a while. But yeah, there's a Don Reed car sitting up there. So I wonder if there's any relation to Sean, or if it's Don Reed Racing. So I wonder if it's like Don Reed Racing and Sean are that father. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Somebody look that up. Dave, get on it. Don Reed.
Don Reed. Never heard of Don Reed. Cool deal.
The fact of the matter is, NHRA drag racing is very healthy. And maybe at some of its healthiest points of its existence, when you factor in competitiveness with car counts. And you couple that with Mission's Food coming in as a title sponsor and bringing more, and possibly going to do more activation as a sponsor than we've seen since the Winston days. That's what I'm expecting, that they are going to do more activation as a title sponsor than we've seen since the Winston days.
Yeah, increased purse, for race wins and championships and stuff like that. And Mission Foods already has experience in motorsports, so they kind of know what they're doing, and they've already shown they are passionate. With the Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge and all the money they put up, they sponsor your Pro Stock Motorcycle World Champion Gage Herrera. They sponsor Angel Sempe and Top Alcohol dragster. So Mission Foods seems to be happy with where they're at, and passionate about NHRA drag racing and really moving this sport forward. So let's just see what they continue to do, and what cool stuff they have on the horizon for NHRA.
Chimichanga Challenge.
Chimichanga Challenge. I forgot to look up if they actually make salsa though. I forgot to look that up.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, but not only from the camping road side though. Don Reed was a local racer, local to me, from Kokomo, Indiana.
So that makes sense. Kokomo is just down the road from Lafayette. But yeah, there's a dragster just sitting up there. There's a lot of
Nice.
dragsters just sitting up there.
What
There's
is
a lot of dragsters on the floor too. That McKenney Corp is slammed right now. There's only like 6 funny car chassis and 3 top fuel chassis up there right now.
And we actually, so we talked to Murph, at PRI, and he said Brad Hadman is still actually out there, actually kind of making a little bit of a return. Were you sitting there next to me when you
I
said
was.
that?
I was right there. He
Yeah.
said he's building a car.
Yeah, Brad Hadman. Yeah.
Yeah, he's up at some shop somewhere helping building a car.
Yeah. You remember back in like the early 2000s, it was McKenney, Hadman, and Attack. Those were like the 3, main chassis builders for nitro racing.
That was it.
So.
And you got a situation where some of these people have just dropped off the radar. I mean, man, I don't know how many times I've gone to the drag strip wearing my McKenney T-shirt, and I've had people come up to me and, "Oh, McKenney's still around?" Or I've had people even go so far as say, "Hey, didn't Murph die?" And it's like, no, he was welding on a funny car chassis today for Jim Whiteley today and grinding on it yesterday. I mean, he's in good health and good sound mind and getting the job done.
And it was my first time meeting Murph at PRI, and I'll tell you what, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Murph
and his wife. They're 2 of the nicest people. She didn't even know me. Yeah,
she's a hoot. I haven't got to talk to her much, but she's cool. I like her, and I can definitely tell Murph stays in line with her around, I'm sure. But no, look, Murph is he's a very humble individual for a man that has accomplished everything that he has. I mean, Darren, I've got to get down one day with like Dave W. and other statisticians and try to come up with numbers. One of the people in the shop asked, "How many wins do you think Murph has? How many championships do you think Murph has?" And when you look over Top Fuel and you look over Funny Car, I mean, you got to remember, John Force drove McKenney cars.
Yes.
Okay. And Tony Petragon, when he interviewed him on the stage, was like, "Hey, all my championship cars were Murph McKenney cars."
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there was one time that if you were winning, you were in a McKenney car. And frankly, if I've got anything to do with it, people are going to be reminded that McKenney Corp is still around. They will still build you a brand new whole dragster that can go out there and compete and win. And it's not all about these young bucks building all these chassis who are, well, just following in Murph's footsteps. And thank God they are. People got to carry it on. But you can still call, if I may say with all due respect, the old man, because the old man has got the experience, the wins, the clout, the know-how, the facility, machines, all of it, and can get the job done.
And even though Murph McKenney didn't win Chassis Builder of the Year, they still make the oil tanks for the team that didn't win Chassis Builder of the Year, Jerry Bickle Race Cars. It's the oil tanks, right?
We make the fuel tanks and oil tanks.
Fuel tanks, there you go. Yeah.
We make the tanks for Jerry Bickle Race Cars. So congratulations, Jerry Bickle, and enjoy your tanks.
Yes.
And yes, there is a reel coming out with Murph congratulating them and reminding everybody that we build their tank. But build the tanks for, a lot of the tanks for Larry Jeffers. You go on a lot of if you go look at door cars, it's been fascinating to learn that the button latch on door cars, that's like a McKenney design. And a lot of them are McKenney, and a lot of them are private label. Or, man, on the CNC machines, the last couple of days have been motor plate after motor plate after motor plate. Larry Dixon's motor plates are up there because no one has got the technology except for Murph to take an old motor plate and they can re-engineer it and scan it in and create the drawing and then put it on a CNC and cut you out and machine out a brand new motor plate. Oh, by the way, Tony Stewart Racing, they're getting their tanks worked on at the shop right now. Oh, by the way, Tony Stewart Racing sent, you have to get your metal tested. So you buy your length and you need to test the length, and that's a tensile test. And you literally break it to see if it is within the limit, the ramifications of the limitations. Well, guess who does that locally? No one in Brownsburg, but up there in Lafayette, Murph McKenney has a machine to test the tensile street of the chrome moly that's used in, tubing and the chassis and things of that nature. So The fact of the matter is, though you might not see whole entire cars out there, which I hope changes, there is no doubt that McKenney Corp drives the drags.
Mhm. And you mentioned Murph McKinney. We mentioned Brad Hatman. We mentioned Larry Jeffers. And just McKinney and Larry Jeffers in itself. We walked up to both those guys this past weekend. You call them a legends, and they don't like that word because they're so
No,
humble.
they don't. They don't, but
They
they
don't.
are.
They get so
Larry is,
embarrassed. Yeah.
and Murph
Yeah.
is, but
Yes.
Both Larry and Murph, very humble guys.
Very humble.
Matter of fact, I would say, Larry is one of those dudes that if you had never seen him before, and you went over to his booth, you would not assume he is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the same for Murph. They just don't stand out that way. They're not out front, if you will, but they're behind and they're getting the job done. People, if that makes sense.
You gotta appreciate people like that too, that have done so much in their time, but they don't really care for all the accolades. They don't care for all the all the praise, all the glory. They just do their work. They get the job done and just say, "Hey, it is what it is." You got to respect people like that. It's not all about the limelight for them, and they're just so humble. I think that's really cool.
Very humble, very humble. But yes, Murph is a great individual, great to work for. And I've got to say, the entire, I've been working for Murph for about 4 months now, maybe 5. And the whole entire company, his son Tate, I think of Zach, I think of Matt, I think of Andrew, I think of Teresa, everybody that's there. What a fabulous group to work with, to work around, and to see at work. So many experts, so many talented people at that facility. And if I may say, there are some very talented young individuals there. The individual that is working on like Tim Wilkerson's car and doing all the spaghetti or tree work that's underneath that you never see, that's made out of titanium.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might be late 20s, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's working on Tim Wilkerson and Chad Green's and many others funny cars welding titanium.
So you bring up a great point, and obviously we talk about, in drag racing, you need, the next generation of crew chiefs. You need the next, young crop of drivers, but you also need the next crop of people who,
Leslie Horn, always, always.
You were looking spiffy though at PRI.
Man, I look sharp.
You look spiffy.
I noticed all the ladies turning their heads too.
Yeah, you look spiffy, man. Did a good job.
I know.
Did a good job.
I can dress well when I want to.
Yeah, I like it.
It also helps. It also helps when you're not as fat, and makes it easier to dress well. Because I'm telling you what, the big boy clothes and dressing well don't work out.
Oh man, great to have the new owner though of Sega in the chat.
Yes, cool. And we're going to have him on Between the Slicks before long. I asked him to come on this Thursday, and he blew me off, and said he's just too big time. No, he said he's got a lot of things going on. He's actually got a lot of important meetings concerning Southeast Gassers Association, which is great news. So we are going to have him on before long and chat with him concerning Southeast Gassers Association. Get that side. We got Quane's side. We'll get the other side as well. And we'll have Tim Hall on. Looking forward to having him. I just get all the champions of Sega on from this year and continue to talk to the top 5 and top alcohol funny car and top alcohol dragster. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to get all of it in. We're going to get it in, though.
Just going back real quickly, I want to talk about some a little bit, because you would, know a lot more about this than me. So like I mentioned, we always talk about, the next generation of crew chiefs and the next generation of drivers and everything like that. Well, also people who built these race cars. Is there a type of, mentoring, type of deal going on at Murphy McKinney, trying to teach young guys to how to build race cars and everything like that? Is there something like that in place? And just like, just kind of, like we see with PBRC and everything like that. Is there something like that kind of goes on behind the scenes? It's like, hey, we need to teach these guys how to build pipe.
You bring up a good point, and that's something that would be a good question for Murph. I think you need to ask that later on a show, and And I need to put that out there to him. Would I say that there is a program that has like an official name and this is the Murph McKinney Mentorship Program? No, there's not. But you can definitely tell when you look at McKenney Corp that it is not all a bunch of gray hairs there. Certainly there are those with gray hair, but there are many that still have color and a full head of hair. I think of Matt Schwartz. He is the fabricator there that most would recognize the great. I have no issue saying artwork of the craftsmanship of building the tanks. He does that, and we're talking about gas welding and TIG welding and bending and shaping, and I mean I think he's early 40s. I want to say, maybe late 30s. Very talented fabricator and welder, and very talented artist as well. Because if anybody has seen our social media from McKenney Corp, he built a full Mandalorian armor set.
That was cool.
And he did it by hand, and it's out of aluminum.
That was cool.
It's very impressive. Cool. And he, in fact, makes armor sets and sells them. Actually, on his lunch break today and a little bit after work, he was working on a jetpack that he was building and crafting out of aluminum. So, very talented individual. You have people like that at McKenney Corp, and he'll tell you that, hey, I learned this from Murph. I learned this from this person. So you definitely have a situation there where they're willing to bring in people who need to learn, and they're going to train them up, and they're going to assist them as long as they're talented individuals and have a good work ethic, it seems like.
That's awesome. Well, Lee, let's take a quick break, and we come back. Let's talk a little title sponsors, and not only NHRA Factory X, but also PDRA. Want to do that?
Sure. Let's do that. Take a break. I need my protein. I'm getting older.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Classic car owners, make your headlights over twice as bright with Holley Retro Bright LED headlights. A plug-in replacement for those dim halogen seal beams, Retro Bright maintains that classic look and lasts 6 times longer. Stay safe and click the link below to learn more.
I think that was the perfect transition right there, because like I mentioned, title sponsors, Holley EFI is now the new title sponsor for Factory X. I think that's a perfect title sponsor for that class, because Holley sponsors events down for like NMCA and stuff like that, a lot of door car events down south and stuff like that. So I think Holley is the perfect new title sponsor for Factory X in 2024. What do you think, Lee?
Great pairing for sure, because they use that type of hardware. And Holley is making inroads into the younger car culture scene with the brands that they have. Because when we say Holley today, it's Holley Group. I mean, there are so many brands now underneath that umbrella. But that being together and it going across the country in many other ways, and people seeing possibly Factory X and NHRA and that connected with Holley, again, that's great branding, that's great marketing, that's great partnership for that class, and also that much more momentum for that class and what it can be. Man, we saw a beautiful Camaro that I don't think has hit the strip yet there at PRI, going over to the after hours party that they have in the stadium on Thursday night. And there are so many beautiful race cars. I can just remember it was Monday after the Nevada Nationals. They were wrapping up the race, and here comes that Bob Glidden looking Mustang Factory X, and he just does this long, smoky burnout, and I just go, yes! So, it flooded me of pro stock, how it was, and even when I was the kid, and I was like, yes, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good.
No, Factory X is definitely on the rise, and not only is the announcement of Holly coming on as the new title sponsor, but also 8 races next year for Factory X, and there'll also be a championship. So I think that's a really cool deal as well, and more cars coming from what they say. There are more cars coming.
I like it.
Yes, 8 races ending in Las Vegas, so I get to see Factory X on the West Coast because they were supposed to run in Vegas this past year, but with all the delays and everything getting pushed back, didn't really get to see them on track.
Yeah, they
But,
did not really have any limelight at all.
Yeah,
and did most of their racing on Monday, it seemed like.
Yeah,
but I hope we have many more cars. I know we're going to have many more cars, and I hope they're competitive and they keep them all in one piece. That class is so much fun. And hey, Factory X, baby, for the future.
Aaron Stanfield's supposed to be driving Factory X 2 next year. So cool deal.
I like it. I like it. Erica Enders, Factory X. I want to see it.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I want to see it. We got Greg. I assume Greg will stay in it. Maybe Aaron's going to be in a different ride. I don't know about that situation, but I really think drag racing, it could benefit from a class it could benefit from a class out there that is like the truck series and what it used to be, or dare I say, to some extent, the senior tour like the PGA has. And maybe factory stock to some degree can become that, where it's a place where new talent can come in and yet rub shoulders with former champions and legends. And I think factory stock was getting there, but I don't know. There's something about the momentum with Factory X right now, and the speed of the cars, yet the look of the cars, and the technology they've got in them, and yet that they're tube chassis, and yet they have actual bodies on them. So much, that type of situation. Yes, because I love the truck series when it was Ted Musgrave trying to, beat out some punk kid, or Bobby Hamilton going up against some whippersnapper, or
Ron
Hornaday out there, versus Kyle Busch. That was epic there for
Mike Skinner.
Yes. I mean, I really think it was best during that time when you had that dynamic. Someone was coming up, and if I may say graciously, others were winding down. But you had that experience going up against exuberance, and it would be cool if Factory X became something like that, and you saw people even making returns to NHRA drag racing to get behind the wheel of a Factory X car.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. Like we mentioned, the Johnson name is still out there in pro stock in some way or fashion, but to see Kurt Johnson come back behind the wheel in Factory X or something like that with the help of his dad Warren or something like that. We've already seen Alan Johnson make his return, former pro stock champion, driving in Factory X. We've seen Greg Stanfield obviously in Factory X. So we've seen a lot of big time old school pro stock drivers, racing in Factory X last year, and it'd be cool to see, like you said, see some new young faces in there, and kind of like duking out with these old guys. It'd be cool. Let's try to get Cowboy in Factory X too.
Mark Powell, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Cowboy in there.
He's got to be jumping at the bit to drive. He might have drove one for all we know already. He might have. Yeah. He might have. Hey, maybe Alex Laughlin finds a home in Factory X.
Yes. That would be cool.
That would be cool, and that would be good for that class, I think. And that would give him 8 races. That would give some marketing power, and I mean, he drives everything else, and he's already drove in testing the Blackbird and has went extremely quick and fast in that hot rod. Maybe even one of its fastest times to date. Not the fastest. It has gone faster than what he did, but none of he's tested them and has drove them. And hey, Kenny Koreski, bring some chaos to Factory X. Come on, man. Come on. Come on, be cool
I
to
like to see that.
I'd like to see that. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
And also in other news, talking about title sponsors, PDRA has their first ever title sponsor. Redline Oil will be the title sponsor of PDRA moving forward, and I think this is a cool deal overall. I think, like I said, this is the first title sponsor in PDRA's history, and this automatically will increase the purses for the two pro mod classes, going forward, and now $10,000 to win in each pro mod classes in PDRA. So big news coming out of the PDRA, and a pretty cool deal right there with Redline Oil.
It is, and let me make sure. Yes, I wanted to make sure. So, Redline Oil, I hear routinely that Redline Oil is one of the best products out there that you can use in your racing application. And I don't want to get an argument of who is best, who's not best, but I know a lot of people who stand by Redline Oil, and they are
Lucas
not
Oil,
gonna,
baby.
they're not going to step away from it. And that's not to say that there's other great oils. I'm not saying that. I hear great things about Maxima Racing Oil, the official racing oil for Funny Car and Nitro Chaos. And I hear great things about AMSOIL. But I do want to say thank you to Mark Betty. He is the brand director at Redline Synthetic Oil. And what they are doing for motorsports, and in particular for drag racing, is a wonderful thing to see. So, Mark, if you're listening, thank you for what you're doing. Appreciate it. And very cool to see the partnership with the Professional Drag Racers Association for 2024.
No, I agree, Lee. And I wasn't like, just Dave W is just crazy in the comments. So you put a comment that I just couldn't stop laughing at. No, definitely. And like he's mentioned, big deal for Redline Oil, for PDRA, and with Redline Oil coming on, and obviously, like I said, increasing those purses, for Pro Nitrous and Pro Boosting, and increasing the purses overall for each class in that series. So, like I said, Redline Oil, a great oil, and yeah, great to see him on board with the PDRA.
And also, more than likely, this deal had something to do with a buddy of ours who is the procurer, if you will, of many of these sponsorship programs with the PDRA. That's Will Smith, top field driver. So I imagine Will had something to do with it. Congrats, man, on landing a big deal.
Yeah, and Redline Oil, you see them everywhere, and they are a big partner with a lot of the Heritage Series racers. I know they sponsor a lot of Nostalgia Funny Car teams and front engine top field teams. So you see Redline Oil everywhere. Great company. Mark, again, thank you for your support. And hey, this year we had a wonderful, spectacular booth. Congratulations to Bobby Bennett and Roger Brogdon and everybody. What a great booth it was at PRI. Yeah. It was spectacular. But Mark let us host the Power Hour 2 years ago, 2 PRIs ago, at the Redline Oil booth. So thank you again, Mark, for that. Appreciate it. Cool deal. And you mentioned two big names right there. Thank you to Bobby Bennett and Roger Brogdon for everything they did for us out of PRI. Just like you said, just the booth we had was immaculate. It was first class. Big time. We had great autograph sessions with big time names like Larry Spider-Man McBride. We had Ron Capps. We had John Force. We had Paul Lee. Everybody came on. We had Psycho Drag over there. Doing great content. Great photographers. It was awesome. So just what a great experience. A great great to go out to Indy and experience my first ever PRI. And got to thank like I said, Bobby Bennett and Roger Brogdon for making that happen and getting me out there. It was cool.
The biggest star in the making, though, Cassandra Powick was on the Power Hour,
and she was very shocked when you asked her to come over. She was not expecting that.
No, but she does a good job when she gets on air. She needs to get on air more often. She does a really good job.
No, for sure, and hands down has the best bucket hat game in the NHRA.
Well, I think she has the only bucket hat game, but it is a good bucket hat game.
Hey, don't forget Vegas last year, man. When I put on my bucket hat, don't forget too easily.
I've tried to forget.
Was that Vegas? Was that this year or last year when I brought out the bucket hat? That was this year.
Spring race. You brought the bucket hat out. Why?
because I didn't have a haircut.
Right.
But I still bring it out though.
Right.
I still bring it out though.
Right.
So
Right.
it still counts.
Right. By the way, let's take the time, remind everybody, quarter mile classifieds. That was a big thrust there at the Performance Racing Industry Trade Show for CompetitionPlus.com. Yes. Quarter mile classifieds. You need to get your product out there on the web to a potential buyer. Quarter mile classifieds is the newest and, dare I say, best place already to do it. So check out quartermileclassifieds.com for all of your buying, procuring, and selling needs in the drag racing world.
Yeah, Bobby has been trying his hardest to get that off the ground, and he has got it off the ground. And I know it's really cool. He was pretty excited because a lot of people really signed up for it and got a lot of new followers. And so it's getting off the ground. And great to see Bobby. You know, he was really happy this past week. It was really good to see. You know, just everything went right. You know, had a great time. You know, just big crowds. I mean, just all around, just a successful week at PRI.
It certainly was. And it's an event that I know for a while you were skeptical concerning PRI. I think, and I have to believe that now after you've experienced your first one, that you probably are already looking to the calendar and circling it for next year because it's a must attend.
Well, I'm not circling it. It's too cold in Indiana. I mean, I was only down, but I'm not circling it. I mean, it was a great experience, but you know, and I'm joking. But one of the reasons why I was maybe not on the fence, but kind of like, you know, what is the big deal was because, you know, for me, who came into this game, I didn't know anything about the business side of racing. You know, I didn't. Why do I need to know the business side of racing? But now that, you know, I work for Complex and an assistant editor, and this is stuff you need to know. You know, you have to know this stuff. You have to learn this stuff and everything like that. So I was just the guy that was like, I just care what happens on the racetrack. You know, that's all I care about. But now I have to see the other side of it.
Right.
And I got a taste of that at I forget what the event was called, but I went with Bobby in Anaheim before the season started in January, and it was out here in California, and get to see the other side of it. Like it's not just what happens on the racetrack; what happens behind the scenes. You know, the business side of it, and it's pretty interesting as well to see all that stuff.
It is, and let me bring it up right now. We will showcase quarter mile classifieds as well. There it is. Quarter mile classifieds, ladies and gentlemen. You can list your drag racing machine. I'll do some shopping around. Let's check out this listing. Oh, right here, new listing. Asking price, $26,000. We'll go a little further. We'll click on it. See, can't find it. Still got some things to work out. But there are listings up there, and a lot of people signed up. I wonder if this one
gave out free t-shirts too.
Yes, it was cool to see. Free t-shirts. But race cars, transportations, engines, parts, jobs. Hey, I wonder if I got anything under jobs. I might need a new job after this.
I mean, we're always almost close to getting fired after this show, so you know.
I know. I'm surprised we haven't been yet. It's amazing. Well, there you have it.
At least been HR yet.
You have HR. Yeah, HR at competitionplus.com. Yeah, right.
I mean, you know who is HR at Comp Plus, right?
It's Bobby Bennett.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, so
whatever you say goes. You might as well not have HR.
Exactly. Because, you know, the HR is just as worse as us, so, you know.
You know, his daughter should be HR.
Yes.
Something might happen then.
Yes. Because she has like that, like very chill, like, you know, personality, but also like just very like straightforward, you know, it's very just like, you know, like, like if you do something, she will like, you know,
like
put you in check.
You get a look of like, that was dumb.
Yeah.
That was very dumb.
Yeah.
Don't do that again. Because
there was a lot of stuff we were talking about where she just shook her head. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. What is going on here? Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Certainly. That was mainly you. You do all that. You bring that stuff up.
Yeah, you know, we got to have fun, you know?
Andrew asks, is Factory X going to kill factory stock? I do not believe so. Because though it looks very similar, factory stock to Factory X, and then throw Pro Stock in, They're all very distinct.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think there might be a day where Factory X has enough momentum to overtake what we understand as Pro Stock. I think we're a long ways from that. But factory stock is in a different area in that they are not going to allow those cars to go any quicker than they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And they are a stock car.
Mm-hmm.
You buy them from the factory. Granted,
Mm-hmm.
people are buying them from the factory and stripping them down and rebuilding them. I get that. It's kind of a backwards thing. But you can go buy it from the factory and then go race it. That was the whole premise of that class. Now, granted, you could say that cat's got out of the bag and it's not getting back in, and it's a race car and a race class in and of its own, and it's got away from what it was intended to. And I could understand that argument for sure, but it is a class. You've got a factory dash in it, and you've got interior, and I mean, you got power windows. Mm-hmm. So they are in a distinct place of being a car that you and I would resemble going up and down the road, and a race car. Whereas Factory X, race car.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That just looks stock.
Yeah.
Which is what Pro Stock was for a very, very long time.
And that was literally my next question. So, like I said, I know you said it's going to be a while from now, which I agree. But you do think that Factory X will one day overtake Pro Stock?
I think the model. I think the model of Factory X, Factory Experiment, I think it's a whole lot more in that name than just the factories doing some backing of experimental parts and pieces to put on other high-performance projects and have high-performance aftermarket parts and a platform and a place to showcase parts and pieces as a platform. I think there's more experimental going on, possibly of something to take place or to merge into what we understand as Pro Stock.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I'll tell you what, like it's come out in a short amount of time. It's come out with a lot of momentum. People love to look at these race cars. They look cool. They sound cool. I mean, you're already putting these throwback paint schemes on them, which we also love. We all love throwback paint schemes, so that's going to get people on board anyway. So I'm excited about the class. NHRA fans are excited about the class, and I think it's all but up from now, for here on out for Factory X. So
man, you've seen them, and I've seen them. They're just something, especially that Rod Shop car.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That thing is sexy. It's
beautiful. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. It's a beautiful race car. Especially in person. You see that thing in person, you're like, wow, Yeah.
Look, they might be one thing on TV, but you see those cars in person,
Mm-hmm. It's different. Man. It hit different.
It hit different.
It hit it different.
It hit different.
It do.
Because they're living modern nostalgia without being anything old. They're hitting all of it, man. They're hitting all of it.
Neo nostalgia.
Yeah, they're neo nostalgia Pro Stock. There we go. Yeah. You see that? Can you hear that coming in lane? And now, neo nostalgia Pro Stock rolls into the water box here.
That was good too, man. You hit that really good. Do that voice again. That was nice.
Oh boy, hit that voice again. Okay, let's see. And now, rolling into the water box, Neo Nostalgia Pro Stock.
Do you practice that in the mirror?
No,
just natural, huh?
In the shower, though.
In the shower, okay. It's just like it's funny. So obviously you're really good at that. I was in the hotel room with Les Mayhew, and we were looking at some nostalgia stuff from Bakersfield, and there's one shot where it was just flawless, right? I was like, how did you do that? And he goes, do you know who you're talking to? And he looked like so he's in front of the laptop, right? And I'm laying back on the bed because we had just got back to the hotel. I go, how'd you do that? He looks back, he goes, you know who you talking to? Like serious face too. Like, do you know who you talking to? Like, I'm the man. Like,
that's right. And Les is a tremendous videographer and has created some of the best works that drag racing has of the modern day. out there on YouTube and other areas. And I understand what he's saying. There's times I look at my cameraman and I'm like, "You holding me up, man."
Everybody, that was a shot at me. Okay, just so you know
It
that was a
was,
shot
it
at me.
was.
That was a shot at me. Yes.
No, you did fine. You did fine. Thank you for your help at PRI. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Send Chris Graves a bill.
I give it to Chris. Okay. Okay. Let Chris know. Hey, you see something in your email soon. Just know
Right,
that.
right.
Oh man, that was a fun week. PRI was fun. Great
PRI
first
is
one.
good. PRI is good. You know, from the after hours party that they host to all the, you know, and look, you didn't even catch any of the seminars. There's so many seminars you can catch. You know, you meet people. It's a different atmosphere. It is it's the place you got to be. And I also will say this: I have felt ever since I started attending PRI, I can indirectly and also in some ways directly see what I'm doing take another step. And you're probably going to see that too. I don't know how it works that way, but it just does. You do PRI, you go to the next step. Do PRI again, you go to the next step. So on, so on, so on.
People just, you know, from people I've talked to, they just said that, you know, it may seem small, but for some reason, when you go to PRI, people just remember you from there on out. You know, they just remember your face. They remember you. You know, the people you talk to, the connections you make. It just, you know, it just magnifies it just that even much more. You know, that's what I've heard from people.
Yes, completely agree. Completely agree. So, if you're out there and you are in the motorsports world and you are not attending PRI, if you're in media, if you're a racer, you're a race car owner, you're a potential sponsor, you are a sponsor, you need to be at PRI. All right, PRI, I'm sending you a bill.
Yeah, so I'm doing another one. I forget the name of it, but it's something similar. It's the owners of SEMA PRI. They're doing one in Anaheim. They do it every year. I did it last year, and it's like speed dating, low key. Like that's what Bobby Bennett says, like speed dating. So what you do is everybody has their own room, and every manufacturer, every business, you know, you get 5 minutes to talk and give your pitch, and after the 5 minutes, they ring the bell. You go to the next room, and after 5 minutes, you do your pitch, and you go to the next room. It's actually pretty fun. We did it last year. Bobby actually let me talk last year at some of them, and I didn't mess it up too much. Just to say that, did my thing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, you get 5 minutes to make your pitch. Yep.
Okay, so who are in the rooms and who's moving?
So, for example, Holly, Darton Sleeves, ARP, you know, all these companies, and like, you know, different people are going around like us, like, you know, we're trying to sell advertising and stuff like that, and you just go around and you make your pitch and see what happens. I think Maximum Oil was not Maximum Oil, it was another oil. I forgot what they're called. But yeah, a lot of businesses like that are there. Manufacturers, you know, FTI was there. Yeah, stuff like that, and go around and make your pitch and, you know, see what you can do. And you get 5 minutes, and then they ring the bell and you go to the next one. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Drag and Drive girl. Not Drag and Drive girl, but what's her name?
Did you say Dragon Girl?
No, Drag and Drive. The girl who does the Drag and Drive.
The girl. Like there's only one?
Well, I mean, the face of it. You know what I mean?
The face of Dragon. Woo!
Can you help me out here? You know her. You know who I'm talking about. And just like I know her name. I just can't think of it right now. What? Alex Taylor. Yes, she was there. Yes. Thank you, DRM.
She was there.
You're like, you just let me drown right here, man.
I did. I was letting you flail. I mean, you were Yes. Alex Taylor. Her sister is who?
Oh, I don't know. Who's her sister?
Megan Taylor.
Okay. She drives too?
No, she handles the PR and the social media and things of that nature.
I would like to see her jump up the Nitro. That'd be cool. Get Alex Taylor in a Nitro car. That'd be dope. Or Pro Stock. That'd be cool.
Factory X.
Yeah. Get Alex Taylor in Factory X.
Yes.
That's another just another person that just exudes racing. Like they just exude race car driver.
Yep.
I like that.
What's her dad's name?
I don't know. How am I supposed to know her dad's name? You know her dad's name?
Dennis Taylor.
Swear.
Yeah.
Like the Dennis Taylor?
No.
I was about to say, I was like, no way. How am I supposed to know Alex Taylor's dad's name? Like, why would I know that?
You didn't even know her name.
I know her name. I just couldn't think of it.
Welcome to the Roast Darren Williams Jr. Hour.
Okay, I got you. You gonna let me drown like that? Just know payback is a B. Just know that. Just know that.
Oh, you've got me plenty of times this year on many other things, buddy.
Just know that.
So
yeah. We know you go around looking at people's moms at drag races, so we know that. Okay. Obviously, we have nothing else to talk about because
we don't apparently. We have
10 minutes to fill,
we have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes.
To talk about. Yeah.
We have 10 minutes and nothing to talk about. PRI was great. Many big announcements. I loved. It was shocking, but I loved Buddy's announcement that he's going to Jim Dunn Racing, getting in the funny car. I think that will help step that program up even more. I don't see Buddy wanting to keep the status quo. I don't see that. I think also John Dunn and many that are there, they want to see that program move forward too in many ways. And Jacob Neal throwing his hat is a new, not just in the hat of everything that's happening, but also a Top Fuel owner. That's wild. So that increases out there in the Top Fuel ranks as well. Yeah. I will say that I am surprised, and maybe I just missed it. I'm surprised I didn't hear more about Missions Foods.
Yeah, I know, huh? I never thought about that. You'd think they would come out with a few more announcements here and there. Like I didn't know that. So apparently, Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge is returning next year. But we heard it from, I believe Brian Lone said it on the stage. Yeah,
I'm just surprised by that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's even a miss. But you think they would have held something back as big as PRI is to make an announcement.
No, I agree. But no, I think the partnership, of Buddy Hall joining Jim Dunn Racing, I think that's a really cool deal. Like you said, I don't think Buddy is just going to stay with the status quo. Right. I think we will see something different with that team next year. And John seems very passionate and want to yeah, I saw that.
Well, okay, I want to bring this up because I saw something similar. Drag Racing Mayhem. We say this every time the Dunns get a new driver, the drag racing equal of the Dallas Cowboys. That's not quite. We're not going to go there, but you got to work on those analogies there, DRM. Now, I saw elsewhere on Comp Plus someone, another driver going through the revolving door Jim Dunn Racing, and I'm like, Jim Dunn Racing is not a revolving door. Like Jim Campbell was over there for a good little while. And they tend to keep drivers actually a decent amount of time. It's not like every year a driver is turning over. So I don't know, where did people get this idea like they're a revolving door?
Yeah, Alex was the only one that was a 1 year, in and out type of deal. For the most part, they keep their drivers, 3, 4, 5 years, down the line and everything like that. Alex Lofton was the exception of that.
Yeah, I don't. Where does that come from?
But it was just also great to see Buddy on the tour for a full season now. Obviously we saw him, part-time when he was with Haddock and, a few more races when he had his own team. But to see him out there every week, week in and week out, trying to fight, in the funny car class, I think that's really good for him. Really good for him right there.
Well, look, as Buddy stated many times, he is a engine front of me guy. And that's his background. And yes, I think it's good for the sport. Buddy is a good character. Buddy is a good guy. I think it's going to be good for NHRA for Buddy to be out there full time. And if they can have just a little bit of success and even early and go a couple of rounds, it's going to be good for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm. And like we mentioned, we get to see the first ever matchup between Hulk and Beast.
I hope
Buddy
they don't
Hall
take
and Matt Hagan.
Hey, first round Gator Nationals. Let's get it out of the way. Let's get it out of the way. Yes. I want an arm wrestling match. I want lifting competition. I want it all. Finally.
And for people who are Marvel fans, Beast was in the post-credit scene of the Marvels. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry if you guys are Marvel fans. I'm so sorry. I just spoiled it. My bad.
You want to go ahead and ruin Godzilla while you're at it?
I haven't seen it yet, so.
Oh, okay.
Please don't do that, anybody. Please. I only told you the post-credit scene, all right? I didn't tell you what happened in the movie, just the post-credit scene. The X-Men are coming. I really shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry.
Dang. We are going to get canceled now. You know how Marvel people are?
I'm sorry.
Dang.
Hey, DRM, I did lift, but I'm nowhere on the level of a Buddy Hall and Matt Hagan. So, although I did qualify for a national meet. So I think that says for something, I was a bad dude back in the day. So,
Hey, before you got all old and washed up?
All old and washed up,
Yeah.
Also, Chris Bostic joining White Alligator Racing in 2024. I think that's a really cool announcement. Chris out there in the pro style motorcycle field, kind of struggled this past year, but teaming up with Tim Kalungian, a great crew chief in the pro style motorcycle class, and that White Alligator Racing team, going to be teammates with Chase Van Zandt. I think that's a step in the right direction for that program.
It is, and a great team to pair with. Granted, every team out there right now is chasing that team. Gage Herrera and Vance Hines.
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it because, we don't want to talk about, Anyway, went out Saturday night to watch Laker game and saw Gage Herrera out there too. Same place I was at. It was pretty cool to see.
Oh, really? I saw Gage at the party.
Yeah. Gage was what was it called? Patron Saint in downtown Indy. We were there watching Laker game and he was there. Yeah.
Okay. I was at St. Elmo's Steakhouse.
Oh, you were at a steakhouse. Ooh.
Yeah. The steakhouse in Indy.
Humble brag. I was at a steakhouse. Ooh. while I was eating a chili cheese dog and fries.
See, I had shrimp cocktail, which is a world famous shrimp cocktail there. Then I did have the bean soup before the course. I had the flat iron steak, and I hadn't had French fries in months, so I did go with actual French fries with the steak. And then for dessert, their bourbon butter cake. It was very nice.
Oh, what am I saying? Roger Brogdon did take us all to a steakhouse too, so I could brag a little bit too. So perks of being media,
Why does anybody watch it?
I know. Can the season start already? Because we have some content to talk about.
We have some content. No.
Is it Gainesville yet?
Is it Gainesville yet? PRI was great. We'll have some guests next week, so we have something actually to talk about. Look, if you have not been to PRI, figure out some way. Okay, you got to go. It's a lot of fun. I'm not sure how you do it, and you're not in the industry, but somehow people figure it out. So go find a buddy and get some credentials and get to PRI. It's a lot of fun. And Indy is more fun than I think people realize too. There's actually a lot to go do and experience.
No, it is. Yes.
And you can see. I know Darren went out several nights. I went out every night. And, I went to my first Dick's Last Resort. That was interesting. I've never been to one of those restaurants.
Bro, you are now officially a trans ginger.
That's right. Yeah, very interesting restaurant. Good food, I will say. The food was decent. It was good enough. And interesting roasting and weird hats that you wear. It's quite an interesting atmosphere.
So what do you think the joke would have been for me if I was there?
Well, you would have been the only African American with a bunch of white people. I really want to know what it would have been like. And yeah, they don't mind treading heavily.
Dave, if you're still watching, Me,
Dave,
you,
Dave,
Lee.
Dave could work at Dick's Last Resort. He could pull it off.
Yeah. But I think Dave comes to the U.S. Nationals next year, and we all go. Bring Les Mayhew too. Let's all do it. Let's go.
That'd be great.
Mm.
That'd be great. And also, what
Okay.
made it fun is I was with some cool people. Matt and Brandy Neeson and Kirk Newkirk, and Mike Newkirk, and people associated with him. So the Chaos crowd, and it was chaos at Dick's Last Resort for the Chaos crowd. It was pretty cool.
I met Anthony Whitfield this past week too.
That's another cool dude. Him
Yeah.
and his dad and the whole gang, and they have such a cool car theme and a small block Chevy on nitro. It's just so interesting what they're campaigning. A good group.
Yeah, met him. He's a really nice guy, and added me on Facebook after that too. So shout out to Anthony Whitfield.
Kirk Williams and the Williams Brothers Racing Gang. Many of them were there. Spoke with them briefly. Got to introduce them to Merv, and they're already working on a brand new chassis for 2024.
There you go.
So
a new Camaro body too, right?
I believe they did get a new body.
Mm-hmm.
I believe no, they sold the old body, the old Camaro. They still have the Firebird. They are looking for a new body.
Gotcha.
And I'm not sure if they purchased a new one or not. New chassis is underway, and it may very well have McKenney tanks in the future. But I do know that the 2022 Funny Car Chaos champion intends to come out swinging for 2024.
Can't wait for all that action. Racing season. Well, it might be over, for the, NHRA, Funny Car Chaos, Sega, PDRA, and everything like that. It's right around the corner, though. Not long before we're back in action in March. Once we get through Christmas.
Right. I mean, we're going to have the Pro Shootout. You've got U.S. Streetcar Nationals coming up. You've got, and the fact is, racing is still going on. You just got to look at other parts of the world. Racing is going on right now down in Australia, and drag racing is heating up quite literally. Some of their biggest events are soon to come on their calendar. Mm-hmm.
And speaking of heating up, we're, entering, pretty much, the 20th anniversary. Well, it's actually over 20 years ago, but me and Dave, for people to look forward to, actually just recorded a podcast, Battle of the Beer Wagons, Part 1, featuring, and going back and covering, the epic championship battle from 2001 between Larry Dixon and Kenny Bernstein. So stay tuned to that, dropping on the American Hot Rod Entertainment YouTube channel coming soon. So look forward to that. Really fun to record that, going back in time.
I believe that Dixon car was a McKenney.
2001, yeah. Great battle between Bernstein and Dixon. That went right down to the wire. Really fun. No countdown, back and forth, all the way down to the wire. Really fun battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Battle of the Beer Wagons.
You can see that on Friday night at your local bar sometimes.
That is true. That is true.
All right.
Oh, man. Hey, it's pretty impressive that we did fill an hour and a half with minimal content and no guests. We did a good job.
Hey, we did a good job.
And still 20 people watching. So.
Still 21, or mine just got stuck. It's been stuck at 21 for a while. It hasn't fluctuated. We might have broke the system of the counter.
Nah, but thank you to everybody who tunes in, though. I mean, you really do appreciate it. Every week in and week out, just us two guys, talking drag racing. We love what we do. We're passionate about drag racing, and for you guys to sit here, for an hour and a half and listen to us talk the whole time, greatly appreciate that, for real.
Yeah, it's been good to rehash a few things and talk about things from PRI, and looking forward to next week, whoever we'll have on. And just want to go ahead and say to each and every one of you out there, enjoy your holidays that are upcoming. Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a bright new year. We're in that time, and I definitely hope that's the case. And we look forward to seeing you right back here Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for the CompetitionPlus.com Power Hour. You can look forward to Between the Slicks to be airing with new episodes as well. Should even be this Thursday. We'll see if we can get Jackie Frick on. I got to get back in touch with her and chat with her. She was top 5 in points in Top Alcohol Dragster, longtime competitor in Top Alcohol Dragster, and certainly a character out there in the class as well. Looking forward to talking to the interesting gal of Top Alcohol Dragster. And if you know anything about this year, you know where that came from with her 2023 season. So maybe we'll have her on, maybe be another guest, but Between the Slicks will continue to air. I didn't bother airing at PRI because I just had so much going on. And as much as I wanted to air with episodes and guests, it was one other thing on top of so many other things. So, yeah, sorry about that.
Slacker.
Yeah, slacker.
Slacker. What a slacker guy. See?
Slacker.
It's a slacker. I mean,
yeah. Slacker.
All the excuses on here. Nobody wants to hear that, man. We want drag racing content all the time, 24/7.
At least I wasn't out to 3 a.m. on like Saturday night.
You gonna put me out there like that?
Call me a slacker.
In the show. In the show.
Yes, we're going to the show now. Everybody, thank you for watching. This has been the CompetitionPlus.com Power Hour. Remember, Quarter Mile Classifieds, go sign up and find what you need for the strip and sell whatever you have for the strip. I am Lee Craft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, and over there is
Darren Williams, assistant editor of the CompetitionPlus.com and founder and owner of American Hot Rod Entertainment.
Good night.